And we are live. Hello, Erica. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I haven't seen anybody tune in as yet. That can take a little while. Um, I just hope that our internets are right this morning and that everything is coming through. If somebody could let us know when you tune in, I'm just going to have a look on my feed. I've got one eyeball there. Let's
I
just
think it's me
see.
because I've just scrolled past it to see if my
Oh, did
screen
you?
is
What's it looking like?
okay. I
Are
am a
you
little bit
clear?
grainy.
Yeah, I think that could be StreamYard.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I look clear on my screen, but grainy there.
It's just weird. Sorry, girls, we've had a few technical hiccups this morning. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, it's a little bit flat. But anyway, we will we will press on. So today we are talking about um, relieving some of that neck pain. So, welcome to everybody who is joining us. I will start at the beginning. This is our Lunchtime Live series, a community connection initiative here at Sequence and Sand. We thought during these weird times it might be nice to come back and just be grounded and learn some interesting things as we start to get our lives back together again. We are over halfway. We have 35 of these sessions, and I think we're up to about session 22 or something now. We're powering through. And we talk about all sorts of things from health and movement, which is what we're doing today with Erica, also travel and style, all sorts of interesting things. So if you're new to Sequence and Sand, a big welcome. And if you are familiar with us and tuning in again, thank you so much for all your support. It's really appreciated. I hope you get something out of today's session. I know you will. And as usual, we'll take questions as we go along. So I would like to introduce you to Erica Webb. She's based in Melbourne and has tuned in. What? This must be your fourth session now, Erica. You're a bit of an
Something like that.
pro with us here at our Lunchtime Lives. Erica's got these wonderful things called movement snacks. And I think they're perfect for our community, Erica, because they take very little time, but they're effective and they're easy to implement. And I think when we are busy women trying to juggle so many things, that it's really important that we do what we can when we can. So the movement snacks are great. So today, what are we going to cover off today?
Well, we're going to go neck to wrist today. And I'm going to share with you a few different movement snacks that you could do all together, or you could mix them up and, do one by itself. So they all kind of lend themselves to being used as a movement snack where you just take that one piece, use it, and move on. This is really relevant for anyone who's spending a lot of time on the computer or on your phone. Me as well. I spent probably about 8 hours yesterday at my computer without much of a break, which is, I know that it's the wrong thing to do as well. So we're all guilty of it.
Easy to do at the moment when we're at home working, a lot of us, and, filling our days doing other things that we probably normally wouldn't do. So for me, I'm spending a lot of time studying and learning, during this time. So again, another reason to be stapled to my computer really and not moving.
Yes. Yesterday was my kid's second day at school, so I took the opportunity to get some work done. But we're going to work on some of that wrist stuff too, because it's an area that we often neglect. We don't think about how to deal with our forearms and our wrists. We often think about our shoulders because we do kind of hold a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
But how often do you do anything with your wrists and your forearms?
Yeah.
Very rarely.
We do a lot. Yeah.
We do a lot. And, I know for myself, just my texting thumb can create so much tension in my forearm. So it's an important part of our body that we often forget about. So we're going to start off with neck. And you can just do this sitting down. So you can be at the desk, you could be sitting on the floor, whatever. And we're going to use a little bit of external kind of pressure using just 2 of our fingers. And the reason that we're going to do this is because the head is quite a hard thing to get a sense of where it is in space. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's kind of can sometimes be like, where's that song, Where's My Head At? Like it can feel very much like, where is my head in space? And if you ask someone to put their head somewhere specific, it's quite hard because we don't have an external reference point for it. So we're going to use our fingers to offer a little bit of feedback, which just means that we can move it with more clarity.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring 2 fingers to the front of the forehead, and you're going to be putting a little bit of pressure, but not heat. So it's sort of the amount of pressure that you would use to kind of like, if you're going to give yourself like a gentle kind of forehead massage or something, very light.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of just align the head over the rib cage as best we can, knowing that that's not always an easy thing to find. And then we're going to just push the fingers into the head a little bit, push the head into the fingers, and tuck your chin down towards your chest. So we're like nodding, like a nodding movement. And because you're pushing your fingers into your head, you're likely going to feel those muscles in the front of your neck doing some work. And then we're going to lift the head back up to center. And we're just going to do that a couple of times. So we're going to tip the head forward. And you could use either hand for this. And then we're going to tip the head back up. And now we're going to keep going and we're going to lift the chin towards the ceiling. Still pushing a little bit into those fingers with the head.
Crack, crack, crack.
Can you feel it? And then let it go for a sec. One of the things is that how often do you look up?
Yeah. Yes.
Not very often at all.
Not
so even just
often.
eyeballs looking up and then back to center, eyeballs looking up. You might even feel the muscles in the back of your neck turn on when you do that. It's quite interesting. So now we're going to put 2 fingers to the side of our head. So not on your temple, higher than that. You can use 1 finger, you can use all of them, whatever. And we're going to tip the head towards one side. So it's a little bit of a push into your fingers rather than thinking about cranking your head to the side. And then we're going to come up. You're still putting that little bit of push, head to fingers, fingers to head, and we're going to go the other way. So it doesn't have to be a big movement. And in fact, small is good, well, particularly while you get used to it. And we're just going to go one more time, back and forth. Good. All right. And then we're going to change sides. So we're going to do the same thing. It looks exactly the same, but now with your fingers on the other side of your head. So we're going sort of towards the hand and then away. And when we spend all our time at the computer or on our phone, our head is very fixed in place. And so this is just taking us through a range that is really normal, but maybe not always accessed throughout the day. And then we'll come back up. So now we're going to turn our head. So from center, we're going to turn our head slightly. So it's like a 45-degree angle. You're going to bring your fingers to the top of your forehead again, and then tip your chin down towards your collarbone. So you're kind of coming midway between your, the mid part of your chest and your shoulder. And then back up. And we'll do that twice, just same side. So you could easily do this just sitting at your desk. You don't even have to get up, which is kind of a good thing, kind of would be nice to have a break as well. And then we'll go to the other side. So same thing, you're just sort of turned about 45 degrees off to that one side. I can feel how tired I am as a result of yesterday's marathon effort.
Mm.
And so part
I hear
of
these
it
little
too is
crackling noises when I do mine sometimes. I notice it more and more now when I move my head and neck. I hear these tiny crackling sounds. It sounds like bone on bone, but I'm hoping that it's not.
You should get that checked. Often those crack, like, when you get cracked by an osteopath or something, it's actually like gas being released from the joint.
The joints, yeah.
Yeah. So just sort of notice how that feels. Often just having that external touch from the outside can also influence the way our nervous system perceives what we're doing and create a sense of safety. So you might just notice that you feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, I know where my head is, which is a really nice feeling. So let's go down to our arms and our wrists.
Yep.
We're going to kind of, I say miss the shoulders. We're not going to miss the shoulders, but we're going to skip ahead and then we'll kind of work our way back up.
Okay. Yeah.
So super simple. You could do this with your hands on your desk as well.
Yep.
Sitting, standing, you could do it at the wall. So I'm just going to use the floor because that's where I am. But we're going to put the weight into our hands. And if you've got really sore, tight wrists, you could do this with your weight a little bit further back. The further forward you go, the bigger the angle becomes, or the tighter the angle becomes. And what we're going to do is super simple. We're just going to push the fingers into the floor. So we're getting really active through the hands, spreading the fingers as wide as we can, pushing into them towards the floor. And you're kind of pushing the finger knuckles down too, so this part of your hand, that top knuckle. And all we're going to do is walk our hands around in a circle. So if you were on a wall, you'd be doing the same thing, just rotating your hands around. So I realized I'm backwards on the screen. So we're just rotating. You're going to hit a point where you can't go any further, and you keep pushing into your fingers, and then you start to come around the other way. Super slow, super easy, but not super simple, but not necessarily easy. And then you're going to come down onto your forearms. So same thing. If you're on a wall, you just push your forearms into the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Or you could do the same on your desk. Now I've got my palms facing down. Not everybody will be able to do that because our bones are slightly structured differently, but you're going to sort of just turn them towards the floor. And you're really pushing down through your forearms. And then you're going to do the opposite. So you're going to rotate the palms up and then reach your thumbs as though they were reaching down towards the floor, pressing the backs of the hands into the ground. And you're going to feel this possibly travel all the way up into the back of the shoulders. So we're going to do that a couple of times. So we're going to rotate the palms to the floor. You might have to step your elbows a little wider to make it happen. Yeah. And then palms towards the ceiling, reaching out through the fingers, reaching out through the thumbs, pushing the backs of the forearms into the ground. So another one that, you know, it's really easy to do. You can do it at the wall. You don't even have to get onto the floor, I should say. What am I trying to say? And then we can walk ourselves back onto our hands and very gently come onto the back of one hand. So this is not something that everybody loves. And you can control your angle a little bit here, right? So if you were on a wall, this one's probably easier on a wall because you can step away and reduce
That's what
angle.
I'm doing. Yeah, I'm actually pushing up against my wall here.
Yeah, perfect. So this, on hands and knees, you've got not as much sort of room to back away. But same thing, just a little bit of rotation and you're pushing the backs of your fingernails into the floor. So you're quite active. And it doesn't have to be much or for long, and then you change sides.
And what does rotating around do? Does that engage the same muscles in a different way or a different set of muscles?
Yeah, it'll do both. So you're just engaging different parts of a similar area. But as you rotate, you're also moving up your shoulder in a different way. The trick here is that we're not being passive. So we're actively either pushing the fingertips into the floor or the fingernails. So if you release that once you've done both sides and just sort of notice how your arms feel, it's likely that you'll notice not just how your wrists feel, but also your fingers all the way up the length of the arms has changed.
Into the joint there for me,
yeah,
in particular as well. But that was, even though it's subtle, I really got a good stretch, particularly turning my hand, I guess, the opposite way to how I would normally use it, you know, palms down, so palms up and pushing. That gave a really good stretch. Yeah.
And this is the thing, it's just about novelty.
Yeah.
You know,
what you don't normally do.
Part of the reason that we end up in so much tension is because we're fixed. And we're not designed to be fixed in place. We're just not. And so it's just about creating variety. So even if you were typing at your computer, when you pause, you could even just actively flex your wrist, actively do a bit of this, try to reach your wrist with your fingers and the opposite way. It doesn't have to be complicated, even rotating. And have we got time for one more? You can't see the time.
We do. It's only 1:15, so you've got some time.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So the other one I want to show you, this one we would often do at the wall, and it's called the shoulder clock. But we can do a similar sort of thing on the floor. And what I might do is I might show it to you as though I had a wall beside me. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show it to you, and you're not gonna be able to see the top of my arm, but it doesn't really matter. So if you imagine that there was a wall between me and you, and it's a see-through glass wall, I've got my hand up on the wall. And the idea of the shoulder clock is that I'm standing probably at least 10, maybe 20 centimeters away from the wall, and I'm gently pushing my hand into it. And then over a series of a couple of minutes, I'm going to work my arm down the wall. So if you visualized a clock on the wall in front of you, you start up at 12 o'clock, and then you work your way back to, 11, 10, and 9, gently pushing into the palm at the same time. And you're going to get this sense of lengthening across the whole of the arm, chest, forearm. That little gentle push into the wall is important, again, because it changes things a little bit. If you spread your fingers, really sort of reach through them, and then let your shoulders not freak out up by your ears. No clenching jaw, no holding breath. And you can move further and further away from the wall. And in fact, doing this without a wall, I can still feel it. It's the same.
Yes, same. So what is your hand doing, Erica? Can you show us just in front of you what your hand is doing?
So, sorry, the backwards thing really gets me. Which arm is it? Where do I go? Yeah. So my hand, if this was on the wall, my hand is like that on the wall. And then I can do it this way. So I'm literally just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just gently pushing against the wall.
So it's literally only your hand touching the wall. Nothing else is touching the wall. No.
When you're up at 12 o'clock, probably your forearm will be touching a bit as well. You can do a really similar thing on the floor by just taking the arm out to the side like this.
Yeah.
And then working your way around. The wall is usually more accessible for people though.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice
Do you
one.
do that at what you imagine to be the hourly spaces? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or
you could literally make your way through every minute of that clock face. The really interesting thing about the body is that every little tiny incremental change has the capacity to change the way that you feel it. And so, often I would teach that by saying start at 12, make your way down to 11, then 10, then 9, then 8. But if you found the spaces in between those as well, you'll notice that there's very subtle differences. And so we always want to make sure that we're not getting fixed into just doing things one way. We create a far more resilient body when we explore all the options. But if you were doing it just as a really quick movement snack, I'd go, 12, whatever that is, 10, 9, sort of half, 3 points at least. But you could take it all the way around. The really important thing with these movements is that because they're areas where we tend to hold a lot of tension and we tend to be quite aggressive with the tension that we hold there. So, you often see people kind of really quite aggressively attempting to get it out. You get a little knot in the back and you're like, if only I could crack it out. Being able to breathe is really important while you do this. If you can hold on to these positions and take a few really broad breaths in and out through your nose, soften all the, tension in your face, and just see it as a deep act of kindness, that's a really different place to operate from than trying to kind of force yourself out of tension. And it's funny, it sounds so like, oh, of course, when you say it out loud, But these are areas that we very often are quite aggressive with our attempts to shift tension. And so I think that taking that attitude towards it really changes how it feels in the body. And it changes the response, because we're then treating ourselves quite differently, and the information that we're kind of absorbing, I suppose, the messaging that we're absorbing direct to the nervous system is one that is kinder, more secure, more safe, and so we get a different response from the body as well. So the last one that I'll show you is like a reverse of the shoulder clock that we just did. I'll show you this one on the floor. You could do it at the wall as well, but the floor is a really nice place for this one. And I can't even remember, we might have done this one already for one of our other sessions. But for this one, you're reaching underneath you. Do you remember this one? You've probably done this in Pilates as well.
I love that one. I do it every week. Yeah.
So the thing with this one, where you're reaching under, and you can sort of see, like I'm going to end up on my side of my head. I'm going to move this arm just so you can see me a bit better. But you have that hand on the floor, and you can put a little push into this bottom arm here as well. But the same thing applies. Like, what little angles can you find, right? So we have a tendency to do this at one angle.
Front.
And it's exactly where we go every single time. Right. So, like, what happens if you try a downward angle towards your legs? What happens if you try just 5 degrees different? And so you can think about this as being the same kind of idea. You can try it with your palm facing up. You can try it with your palm facing down. And then if you're down there, you can play with this reach out to the side, which is like your shoulder clock movement. And so one of my favorites is to go out to the side and in and under, and just progressively change my angles. You know, I would do it slower than I'm doing it right now, but always just finding a slightly different time on the clock, and giving yourself permission to play with that, because we're very like, I always do it this way, at this angle.
And quickly, you know, I just want it to be over instead of, you know, taking time, being in that moment and using breath, as you say, to either push through just a little bit further with a stretch and let go.
And that's a really good point, actually, Anita, because when we are doing it to get through it, we're not going to have the same impact on our body. We just can't. It's like, you know, going for a road trip and just eyes out the front, missing everything that goes by. It's a different experience. And when we are able to do it with like less speed, it means that we can pay more attention. And when we're able to pay more attention, we pick up more information, we get to know ourselves better, and we tend to do movement better. And when we do that, it just feels better. Because the thing is, you might do that really quickly and miss the information that maybe today wasn't the best day to be doing that movement. Maybe for some reason that just wasn't right in your body today. But if you do it quickly to get through it, you'll never pick that information up. And so, you know, we're not using movement as a way of like escaping ourselves. We're using it as a way of getting more in tune with ourselves. And when we can be very curious about it, like, oh, how does that 5-degree angle change what I feel? We start to see ourselves through these eyes of just like, we're amazing, you know, and we can start to really appreciate this incredible body that we live in, because there is genuinely nothing more intelligent in the world than the body that you live in. It is just mind-blowing. So to kind of look at yourself through those eyes is very different to being like, oh, I feel so sore, and, you know, whatever it is that you feel on that day. Being able to look at yourself and see the awe of just this incredible structure that we have is a really different place to operate from.
Yeah, and I see that in so many conversations that we've been having on these lives as well, is I think that a big takeaway from this whole pandemic and how we're living now is just taking that time and getting to know ourselves at a deeper level. And I don't want that to sound, you know, bitty hoo-hoo or whatever they call it, it's just meant to be. It's kind of, I think it's a new mindset that we're developing in all sorts of ways. And I think through movement as well, that's another dimension to add to getting to know ourselves in a deeper level and respecting and understanding ourselves like we've not given ourselves permission to in the past. Now's a great time to give ourselves permission to get to know ourselves a lot better.
Yeah. And we do often see ourselves through these eyes of like, what do I need to fix next?
Yeah.
Or how can I conquer, myself? How can I conquer this physical body? Because sometimes it feels as though it's working against us. But I think that when we give ourselves the permission to move slowly, to notice, to get curious about how it's functioning, we start to recognize that it's always working for us. And when we can really feel that, and, I think a lot of these concepts have been kind of twisted in our minds to feel very woo-woo, but the reality is like the science, if you want to take it to science, we are phenomenal. And if we can't be in awe of our bodies, then we're not paying enough attention, because they are just mind-blowingly intelligent and so clever and so much out to support us. Everything that is going on in our body, even that tension, it's there as a sign, it's there as information to say, you might want to get up and move. Like the tissues are suggesting that maybe now would be a good time to take a break. But we ignore it, and we're very good at doing that. And, no judgment from me, because I do the same thing. And it's learning to be more responsive to the signals that our body gives us. It's like if, you had a little kid sort of at your leg pulling on your pants, mama, 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 mama. Our body does this to us all the time. And we're very good at just being like, not now, not now.
Not now. Yeah, I'm busy. I'm doing something else.
Yeah, this is important and I need to get it done. But when we sort of go, oh, okay, actually, this might only take me 2 minutes just to shift how I feel, and then I can move on. It's a very different way of responding to the ways that we feel, because most of the time we're just trying to like put it back in the cupboard and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to make this kind of just like as we listen in, to make it more of a habit of what we do daily. I don't mean schedule it on the clock. I mean, like you say, when you're in tune and you notice it, then actually making it okay and part of your daily habit to listen to that and respond, even if it's just for 1 minute, but just mindfully responding in a small way. It doesn't have to be a really big way.
And then we start to build up a bit of trust with ourselves too, because, you notice something, you take a second to respond, and it's like a little like, woo, like gold star moment for me, because I did that thing. And then we get better at it over time. And when we do it, when we take that approach too, it's a very kind approach, because we're just responding to what is present. We're not responding to what we think we should be doing. We're not like, oh, I should have gone on a 10K run today. It's just literally, what is it that I need right now? What will help me feel the way that I want to feel? And we get rid of any of that kind of should judgmenty stuff that we tend to get tangled up in. And it's a nice way just to keep you feeling well. Yeah,
in tuned and well. I love that. I like that whole philosophy. It's really, really important. So you're doing what you can when you can, instead of trying to force it. And the other word that keeps coming up is flow. We're flowing into things instead of fighting things or forcing things. And I think that's this is all part of that as well. So in the moment and just going with the flow. Getting to know, going with the flow. All these marketing angles that we can come up with.
And they rhyme, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you, Erica. And girls, if you are catching up because it's difficult to tune in at 12, which I know many of you do, I will put in the feed there where you can go onto Erica's Facebook page, where she's got lots of these movements there on little videos for you to take a look at when you do get a moment. But once you find it and once you start doing this, I reckon you'll want to do more and more and more because you know it works.
Yeah. Just
Very good.
it becomes your motivation just to feel good. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Erica. You are an absolute
It's a
champion.
pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope the kids are okay as they're getting through their first week back at school.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see you again.
Yes, thanks, Anita.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Oh, before I go, forgot to mention tomorrow, Friday, we have got Laurel tuning in from the Northern Territory. We are talking road trip, outback road trip. So I know quite different to movement, but road trips was such a big thing that girls said they wanted to do. We did a quick poll recently for our travel segment. Yeah, outback is pretty special. So that's on tomorrow at 12. So hopefully we'll be able to see you then too, girls. And if not, tune in later when you can. Thanks again. Thanks, Erica. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.